Morning everyone. Welcome to How Hill in the Norfolk Broads. One of my favourite places in the Broads, absolutely love it. This is the River Ant, flowing along very slowly today, extremely calm. And though a little bit disappointed when I turned up, I thought the mist wasn't quite heavy, it's actually coming in a bit. And that's a good thing about when you're shooting in the Broads. Sometimes you can turn up and it's not quite there, but as the old day warms up, the sun comes up, etc., the mist starts to form. I am being eaten alive. Oh God, it's bad enough you can see my little white legs, which are looking an incredible shade of bright white at the moment. They're also being feasted on by the little midges and little mozzies. Yeah. Anyway, but look, beautiful scene behind me. Like I say, beside the River Ant here, the trees in the distance there, lovely bit of mist. I've already took 2 or 3 here. Really pleased. And I'm just now going to have an explore around the area. Fantastic. Hopefully we've got the mist for a couple of hours or about an hour. Should be a lovely morning. Oh, can't complain about this. Fantastic. God, look at this. Beautiful mist come down, and I thought, oh, I might be a bit disappointed and going back early for my tea and digis, but this is lovely. I've been using the Nifty 50. Got a beautiful little Nikon 1.4, one of those ones where you think, how do you get that sort of lens for the price? I think it's about 300, 400 quid. Absolutely wonderful. Been using the 50 to shoot across over there. Really pleased. And it's just a perfect focal length. I've got the 35 on to film this bit to you at the moment, but that's a little bit too wide. But I may try some now that I've got it on. Yeah, gassing on too much. One of my worries this morning as I was coming along the path was whether the foliage, all the plants by the side of the river would be too high and I wouldn't be able to get over. I mean, you know, I'm not vertically challenged, but obviously there's not a lot we can do about it. You know, if we've got all these here and you can't shoot over, but luckily there's a few little gaps where I can shoot through. So that's really nice. Yeah, let's just get on with some more pictures. Yeah, and stop gassing. It's not what it's about, is it? It's about taking pictures. There are 3 drainage mills at How Hill, and I'm standing in front of the least impressive one. That wasn't very clever, was it? Never mind. I'm still in that wonderful area shooting, so you know, I thought I'd shoot this bit here. 3 mills, yeah. There's CLAYRACK mill, Boardsman's mill, which is a little bit further down this path here, and I'll shoot that on the way back because there'll be some lovely mist around it now. And further along is the famous turf fen mill. Well, it's famous in photography sense. It is a lovely mill, but at the moment, unfortunately, it's having a little bit of work on its sails, or the main parts of its sails have been taken away. So it's less photogenic, but we'll have a go anyway. But for the moment, yeah, this place is still grabbing my attention, this place where I've initially started. And the mist is just absolutely gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. So having a whale of a time. And considering I was out and didn't get home till about half 10ish last night from shooting, and then back up at 3:30, I feel quite good. So it's really helping me get started. Really helping me get started. Anyway, I'll get on. Yeah, beautiful morning, beautiful morning. Okay, well, I've shot enough in that area, so it's time I head back along the path, back towards the mooring, the area where there's a mooring. In fact, there's one boat there today, one Broads cruiser there, and one further along near Turf Fen Mill. Bloody ugly things. Anyway, this is a nice scene, but this is the joy of getting to the end of a path, and then there's only one way back, and of course you're seeing everything different on your way back. And as the mist is staying with me, and hopefully it'll stay with me a good while, there'll be stuff to take on the way back. So I'll put them up as I see fit. And it's just lovely, I'm so pleased, and I'm so pleased I made the effort this morning, because like I might have said in the previous vlog, been a bit naughty. Could have got out a little bit earlier once the sort of the lockdown measures were eased, but I haven't, but I'm happy now. And hopefully this is all the catalyst to get me started and get the passion fired up. Brilliant. Okay, better get on. So here we are at Boardman's Mill. God, get it out, John. Beautiful. Yeah, and I just like this composition here as I set up talking to you. Once I step out of the way, I'll get the camera switched on to what it should be doing rather than this video nonsense. And I think this is a nice shot. Pathway, got some lovely trees here, a little bit of colour with the old thistles here. And you've got those trees on the side here, and I'll probably put a little X over them or something, just making a nice little edge marker. The mill sits really nicely with the tree to the left of it. Tree in the distance. Lovely. Just simple, nice graphic Broadland shot. After shooting at Boardman's Mill, I moved down to the mooring area, and there's a lovely little channel that leads off where the local Norfolk Wildlife Trust trips run, and they run the electric eel boat which goes on nature trips down here. It's a lovely little scene, and it's particularly nice in mist. Now what I've got here is the scene set up with the 35mm. It's a little bit too much information for me. It's a little bit too wide. The mist doesn't seem to have any effectiveness at this focal length. So I tried a couple of images and I managed to crop one a little bit more square, and I'm not sure it works. So what I did, I reached for the nifty 50. Now this is a much more pleasing focal length, and I took a few pics, but what I also decided was there was almost too much sky, too much white, and I decided that a crop would be a good idea in the end. So what I've done here is I've done a sort of a full view image, and there's also a couple of crops coming up, and what I've also done with one of the crops is given it a more warmer, romantic feel to the processing. So again, I'm quite into this sort of cold blue look at the moment. My previous vlog in Horsey had a sort of a cold blue feel to it, and I think the same works quite nicely for these pictures at How Hill. So anyway, after the 50mm, I moved on to the 135, and these ones I preferred. Getting into the nitty-gritty of the subject, I did like the little the reeds on the left-hand side of the frame. I thought they looked pretty effective, a nice framing device. And again, I've gone for a sort of a cold white balance and a warm white balance. And I've also taken two vertical images, one at more or less full frame and one with a bit of a crop. And yeah, I think they're quite effective, so I'm quite happy with this little stop here. And now it's time for me to move further down the river. It was absolutely lovely beside the river. The one thing that I wasn't able to do though was get an effective shot of Turf Fen Mill. There's a couple of lovely compositions where you can put the mill in between trees, and that's really quite a nice shot. And also I couldn't even get a picture much nearer to the mill. For some reason the mist there wasn't quite so effective, and it just didn't appeal. So my main concern, or my main subjects for these river shots, were the trees themselves. And there are some lovely shaped trees beside the river here, and in this certain section I was working with, the mist just seemed heavier. So I was really enjoying myself just taking pictures of the shapes. Very graphic, but I had a whale of a time, and the mill isn't going anywhere, and I'll go back to shoot that another time. So I hope you enjoy these images. This is the end of the voiceover bit, and I'll hand you over to young John beside the river to sign off. Right everyone, I think I'm going to sign off here. A little bit tired, sort of neglected my vlogging duties a bit today, but at the end of the day, I haven't been taking pictures for about 2 months now, and photography is my priority. So hopefully I can make a vlog out of this for you. I hope so. I've done some nice bit of filming. I think I've taken some nice images. Really enjoyed it. And thanks for joining me. There's Turf Fen Mill in the background. You can probably tell that there's a little object somewhere there that doesn't make it into a lot of photographs of Turf Fen, but it's been there for years, that bloody yellow thing. Anyway, one of those things. I digress. guys, thanks ever so much for joining me. Like I say, getting back into vlogging, it's going to be a little bit hit and miss, but if you stick with me, thank you. And if you watch to the end, thank you very much. And please consider subscribing. It's whatever time in the morning. I have to be very careful how I say that. Consider subscribing if you haven't already, and hopefully I can get out some nice regular content now for you, and hopefully I can get out, and that's the priority, me getting back out there and enjoying myself. So thanks once again, and I hope to see you soon. Take care, be good to each other.